Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Friday Night Comics. Apologize for my lateness. Had a slight technical issue where I accidentally unplugged my internet. And by accidentally, I mean I'm an idiot. And yeah, that worked out real well, let me tell you. I was taking an old man nap earlier, Merle. You're right. But hello, Angela. Hello, Rotten Corpse. Hello, Uncle Ira. Hi, Okie. Hi, Random. Hey, Merle. Hey, Jim. Hey, Spittle Buggies. Hello, Uncle Ira again. Hi, Evolved. Hey, Camel. How's everybody doing today? Earphone warning? Oh, was I being loud? Sorry. Hey, Demon. Hey, nobody. Ugh. I don't know about you guys, but I'm tired. It's been a long day. It was very hot out today. I hope everybody's doing well. Earphone warnings. I don't believe in warnings. Sorry, I don't know. My volume's probably a little high. My setup's a little different today, so you might hear a fan going in the background. We're all going to have. And I don't have air conditioning, so that'll happen. All right. So who's ready to talk about some crazy shit? We're getting crazy up in here. Oh, I got to switch off Top Chat. Oh, damn. I am really unprepared more than usual. Okay, first the important stuff. I have to pin my shillin' tab. AC is for the elite, not for us plebs. Plus, it's patriarchal. All right, that should be pinned at the top of the chat now. Today's the day for sexy time. Yes, well, every day is the day for sexy time because we're bringing the sexy back. The hell is that noise? Excuse me a second, guys. Something's going on. Oh, sorry about that. There's some kind of weird scraping noise going on. I can't find the source of it. It's kind of freaking me out. As if he has fans, right? How you doing, Random? Hey, Ginger. So, yeah, sorry about that. Something weird going on. I'll let you know if I start hearing demon voices. Because I'm just going to run away screaming. That'll be your warning. There are a lot of vagrants around, mostly in the form of cats. Yeah, you call him back. Hey, old guy, how you doing? Yeah, I don't know what that was. Might have been a raccoon or something outside, or I could have another squirrel in here. Damn squirrels. Bane of my existence. All right, let's start with some annoying news because I'm already mad. Let's go over to Cosmic Book News and talk about Indiana Jones. Yeah, the squirrels get in the wall sometime. There's nobody. They get up in the attic. I'm not sure how they're getting in. There's a couple of holes. This is a really old house. And they'll get up in the attic and then crawl through the walls and then get on the drop ceiling and run along that because there's this like 4 inches between the actual ceiling and the tile ceiling. and they'll run back and forth on there, and sometimes they'll dig. And it's a little unnerving, to say the least. Oh, nice cardio. Good for you. Just got home from you try your skills on an evacuator. Nice. Well, good luck. Excavators are awesome. Indiana Jones, Phoebe Waller-Bridge could replace Harrison Ford. Remember, a few weeks ago, Harrison Ford got injured on set, the same set where he got injured on the Star Wars film that almost killed him. Yeah. I think they're trying to murder Harrison Ford. Back in April, I said Phoebe Waller-Bridge will likely be the woke replacement for Harrison Ford as the new Indiana Jones, and now more of the same is being reported. The UK's Daily Mail reports Phoebe Waller-Bridge could replace Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones after starring along him in the next film. Here's a quote. Now Phoebe Waller-Bridge is being tipped to replace the veteran actor as a female version of the fictional professor of archaeology in the adventure movie franchise. The film industry is awash with rumors that the Fleabag star will take over as the main Indiana adventurer, making her the first female lead since the Disney made movies began in 1981 with Raiders of the Lost Ark, a classic. The article mentions that behind the move is the producer and president of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, which should come as no surprise to Star Wars fans. Insiders claim Kathleen Kennedy, the Hollywood producer behind the franchise, is keen to make big, bold changes, with few bigger than switching the lead character to a woman. And just like Rey, she's going to steal his hat and whip instead of his lightsaber. And he doesn't have a dog in this franchise, so she can't steal that, but she is going to steal his name. So, yeah. I think it might be Squirrel Girl sending messages because she's... Maybe. But they don't report back after a while, I promise you. No one will watch it. Yeah, they already have a female character like that's Tomb Raider. You're not wrong, Jim. Bridget Jones' Archaeological Diary. Yeah, pretty much. Recently, Phoebe Waller-Bridge was spotted on the set where the Daily Mail offers she was dressed like a maroon corduroy jacket and blue trousers, where it was noted it is understood that Phoebe Waller-Bridge is playing an assistant to Indiana Jones in Indiana Jones 5. The source for the site added, the gossip on the set is that this character will slot into the leading role. That wouldn't surprise anybody. Kennedy did a similar big and bold change with the character Rey in Disney Star Wars, which ended up being a disaster for the franchise, as fans didn't like the politically correct approach, which was reflected in fewer and fewer box office sales and merchandise sales. Now we see Kennedy, Disney, and Lucasfilm are taking a similar approach with Indiana Jones. Yeah, they always just double down, which is already sounding like a failure, judging by how its director, James Mangold, has already attacked and insulted fans. We went over that a while back, too. The guy was a real asshole. Similar to the route of the 2016 Ghostbusters movie. Yeah, they're trying to build up hate watchers, and I don't think it's going to work the way they think it's going to work. Will she dig up artifacts from the time when they could make good movies? No. They will dig up feminism and lazy storytelling. That's all they can achieve. The Untitled Indiana Jones 5 has a release date of July 29, 2022. So it has been delayed due to Harrison Ford injuring himself. Now, interestingly, that date is still really close by. So they have to get this movie done if they're going to get it done by that release date. They've already kind of locked it in. So it wouldn't surprise me if they just rewrote the script and they use CGI to make a stuntman look like Harrison Ford. They've already been doing that apparently while he was out injured. And they're going to make a younger version of Indy because allegedly, the Saw rumor, the plot is that they're going back in time, old Indy and his assistant, and they run into young Indy, and they're going to fight some Nazis because that's all they know how to do anymore. So we can expect her to punch one at some point and make some quip about fighting the patriarchy or It'll be some blonde guy, and she'll make an Orange Man bad reference. Something like that. It'll be that sort of nonsense. And of course, she'll be a Mary Sue with all the answers, and the men will be all dumb. But supposedly they're going to kill off Indy, and she's going to pick up his hat and whip and take on the mantle of Indiana Jones. It's like there's only one Highlander. Yeah, pretty much. Hey, sorry, I'm Antine. How you doing? Yeah, Ginger, we're going with that. Ray Palpatine with a whip. Yep. She's going to steal his name and his identity, and they're going to wonder why it fails. Because that's what happens every single time. And they're going to get mad and blame everybody else for it. Bash the fash, right? Probably. That noise is going to drive me nuts. It keeps going intermittently. I think there might be a critter on the porch. I hope that's all it is. All right. If you guys hear the name Zool, though, give me a heads up, eh? Let's talk about... I got a lot of movies and RPG stuff today, so... Or board game stuff, I should say. But there's some comic stuff in here, too. Let's talk about Marvel Champions. This comes from comicbook.com. Marvel Champions announces Sinister Motives expansion and Vision Hero Pack. Why's my mouse not working? Oh, the system locked up. That's lovely. Hope you all can still hear me. Oh, there we go. Fantasy Flight Games has announced the next major expansion for Marvel Champions, the card game. During Fantasy Flight Games' annual In-Flight report, FFG head of studio Chris Gerber announced that the studio would release Sinister Motives, a new campaign expansion for Marvel Champions, the card game. That was a lot of words to just tell me they're releasing a new set. The new expansion will not only add members of the Sinister Six like Electro and Kraven the Hunter to the game, they'll also bring in Miles Morales and Ghost Spider as playable heroes. Heroes is a really loosely used word here. That's two replacements for a better character. From the cover art showcased during the presentation, it appears that the main villain will be Venom. Other villains shown on the cover include Mysterio, Doc Ock, and Sandman. 1 to 4 players could team up to battle through a scenario focused on a single villain. These encounters include standalone scenarios as well as scenarios that make up part of a running campaign. Players can use either a pre-constructed deck or build their own by choosing one hero and cards from one aspect and various basic cards. Sinister Expansions is the 4th full expansion to come out following Rise of the Red Skull expansion, which focused on Hawkeye and Black Widow battling Hydra, and Galaxy's Most Wanted, which focused on Rocket and Groot facing off with a variety of cosmic-themed villains, including Ronan the Accuser and the Collector. The most recent expansion, Mad Titan's Shadow, which features Thanos and the Black Order. Additionally, Fantasy Flight Games also announced Vision will be added to the game as a playable hero through a hero pack. A complete deck of cards that can be instantly used in any scenario right out of the pack. Gerber noted that Vision's abilities will focus on his ability to manipulate his mass at will. The Vision Hero Pack will be released after previously announced War Machine and Valkyrie Hero Packs, but before the aforementioned Sinister Motives. No date yet is set from the look of it. So that sounds pretty cool. I've heard this game's really good, but I've also heard that if you want to play it and get the most out of it, use a pre-constructed deck. It's really designed for those more than anything else. Manipulate his ass? Yeah, well, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah, Angela, but he doesn't seem to care. Hey, Cigar Chomping Penguin, how you doing, man? You almost snuck by me there. This is also the week of Gen Con, which is a big gaming convention. Fully relax after 2 weeks of 12-hour shifts. Nice. Well, congratulations, Tyler. How you doing, man? All right, so I'm glad you got some time off. 2 weeks of 12-hour shifts probably felt like you never left work. This comes to us from Dice Breakers. Got a couple articles from them today. Gen Con's day one crowd left attendees and online onlookers worried despite safety guidelines. I don't know why online onlookers were worried. That's a big sea of people, though. How many of them are masked? Probably all of them. Dun, dun, dun. The board game and role-playing convention proved unable to enforce vaccination cards, relying on masks and best safety practices. Any reasonable person who's ever been to one of these conventions could have told you they're not going to be able to enforce vaccine cards. It's just too many people coming and going, and you're constantly having to show your card. It would bog down the lines so horribly. Apparently, there's a Steam sale going on. Gen Con, the largest board game convention in the U.S., held its first day of events and exhibition on September 16th amid an ongoing global pandemic and rise in COVID Delta cases. Oh, noes! Oh, noes! Those monsters! How dare they get on with their lives? While reports from the show floor painted a sedated scene and general following of the guidelines, the initial crowd gathered outside the doors of the main hall sparked concern and frustration from both attendees and those watching from their homes. The busybodies at home have no business at all complaining about something that doesn't involve them. They're not there. Why are you worried what other people are doing? Don't be a nosy person. Don't be nosy. Mind your own business. They can't enforce you having a badge. Yeah, most of the time they can't. There's too many people. If you have a similar looking badge, you can walk right in. Not that I would advocate that. Yeah, hit the like buttons, share it around on social media, and subscribe if you're so inclined. Surprisingly not sore. Oh, yeah, nice. Ugh, that sounds horrible, Tyler. No, thank you. Steel pipe foot. No, F that noise. Hey, Kyle, how you doing? Yeah, so many awesome people in the chat. I'm used to typing to you guys, so it's kind of weird not having the ability to do that while I'm reading. Much of the online buzz springs from a photo posted on Twitter by Lone Shark Games' Mike Selenker. Photo credit to Green wrote and published President Chris Pramis, showing a crowd of attendees waiting outside the main exhibit hall in a disorganized, in many places tightly packed crowd. Yeah, that's called a convention. This is a normal convention scene. And I like how they sold out both Green Ronin and Lone Shark Games so they can get uninvited by sharing this. Like, that dude's wearing a mask, but this guy doesn't look like he's wearing one. I don't see any straps around his ear here. He might have one, I don't know. But look at this sea of people. There's no way you're going to be able to disperse this crowd so they're all 6 feet apart. That's probably 1,000 people there. Look out. They're all the way back here. They're up above here. There's no way you're going to stop these people from being congested, especially this one's on wheels, so it's a mobile unit. Could probably put a cow catcher on there and just plow right through. Yeah, that's just not going to happen. Blah, 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 blah. This is terrible crowd management in a pandemic. Selenker wrote, too many folks in one place, no rope discipline, and no separated walkways. Yeah, obviously, moron. Oh, yes, there's people dicking around up here. A video uploaded to the fans of Gen Con Facebook group showed the same crowd as it flowed through the open doors, titled The Running of the Nerds 2021 Edition. That's awesome. It shows typical behavior for bottleneck crowds. Everyone pressed as close to the front of the mass as possible. Any semblance of keeping a 6-foot distance forgotten. No, it's not forgotten. It's just unfeasible. Several alarmed commentators pointed out how many passerbys were grabbing the handrails on the escalator in the foreground on their way in. I grab onto the escalator rail for one reason. People behind me are idiots. Often people in front of me are idiots too. So I hold on to the handrail so I don't fall to my death. I've seen people fall on escalators. It's messed up, and those things are kind of pointy. So, yeah. Also, I did watch a foreigner who'd never been on an escalator use one for the first time, trying to go down, and it was one of the most hilarious things I've ever seen in my life. The girl with her was laughing her ass off, and the other lady, who was like 40 years old, was trying to figure out how it worked. It took her like 5 minutes just to get on it. She was so freaked out. It was beautiful. But if that's the type of person that'll end up behind me, and they'll freak out and fall on me. So, yeah, handrails are your friend. Gen Con friends, eat in your hotel rooms. Limit contact with fans to 5 minutes. Quarantine when you get home. Alternately, Mike, you can go fuck yourself. The Indiana-based Gen Con updated its initial safety guidelines for the convention on August 6th, mandating masks for all attendees and exhibitors for the duration of the convention, while indoors or in crowded outdoor spaces. President Dave Hopi said at the time the organization was continuing to push local health officials to make vaccines mandatory for attendance, but the goal seemingly never coalesced, as attendees were not asked to show a vaccination record prior to entering the Indiana Convention Center. Gen Con dropped any mask optional provisions in the safety update referenced above. They just made them mandatory, that's all. That's not that big of a deal for me. Industry veteran Joe Crocker, who was aiding in the Indie Press Revolution booth, tweeted on September 16th that the convention doors opened 10 minutes early with no warning to retailers. Like what? You're not getting sieged by the natives, dude. 10 minutes early with no warning. Well, first of all, you already should have had your mask on. And second of all, why weren't you ready 10 minutes before showtime? You should be ready half an hour to an hour before showtime. Hands down, without question. Idiot. That's just lazy. Other attendees and retailers remarked that once the initial crowd outside the main exhibition hall had dispersed, the smaller than normal crowd spaced out, remaining masked and generally abiding by social distancing etiquette. Oh, so maybe they should have just, registered people outside or limited the number of people that could get in at one time instead of just letting them all coalesce in here like this in a big fucking mess. The empty halls put up more stations to register people. The empty hall was further caused by the notable absence of, that makes no sense, of larger publishers and retailers this year. Cyberpunk's Artalasaurian Games announced its decision to forego attendance in early September, joining board game publishing giant Asmodee and Pazio, steward of tabletop RPGs Pathfinder and Starfinder. Well, they seem to have some internal problems right now too, which we covered on Wednesday. And abstaining from a physical presence at the convention, several of these companies instead opted to contribute to the return of Gen Con online, a digital-only component of the main event. Nobody cares about the online crap. That's boring. You'll just find some streamer who watched this and give you the 10-minute rundown. Ugh, what a waste. Regardless of the generally safe conditions inside the hall and reported diligence of Gen Con staff in enforcing the policies, many online continue to criticize the organization for failing to secure a vaccine mandate. Essen Spiegel, which will be held in October, announced earlier this year it would require proof of vaccination or at least a negative test from attendees. Yeah, because neither of those could be faked. Other prominent conventions have followed suit. The U.S. Center for CDC lists Indiana vaccination rate at 47. None of these people live in Indiana. Like, what, 100 of them do? Come on. There's thousands of people coming from all over the country to go to this event. Probably some from Canada, too. So the Indiana vaccination rate's irrelevant at that point. No comment from Gen Con. Yeah, because they're busy dealing with this kind of crap. Look, this is ludicrous. You can't have everybody 6 feet apart, masked and vaccinated, and not end up with it all turning to shit because it'll be too slow and people get mad and frustrated and take it out on your staff. And then they'll try and line jump and then you'll get fights and all sorts of other stuff. People just start milling around. They'll eventually queue up like they're supposed to, but the ones that aren't in the queue will be dicking around, sitting down on the floor like these people. This is going to happen at a convention. Whenever you have a lot of people, it's like wrangling wildcats. You just can't do it. So that's stupid. Most likely bitching since they had their masks off while around their peers and couldn't virtue signal with a mask. True. Funny how many of them are constantly found breaking the guidelines. Yeah, the guidelines are for other people, not for them. They're special. Comic crowd, big crowd, and papers aren't happy. Yeah, it's not surprising. Hey, Shady, how you doing? Hey, Viking. Don't throw the bullshit. Get on with life and stop being a pussy. Yep. That's kind of the lesson here is quit being a little crybaby and deal with life. Because life is tough. It's not going to get easier. Stop being a pussy. Be a man. Step up. Do what needs done and get on with your fucking life. Sitting around crying about what other people are doing at an event you're not at is pathetic. Grow up. Unless people are actually in danger. But, yeah, I'm not going to finish that thought. But you get the idea. It's not like they locked the doors when the building was on fire or something. People are just being a bunch of whiny little bitches. I like the atmosphere of a big crowd, even if I'm not one of them. I'm a little hit and miss on that. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I like to people watch. And if I could do it from behind a screen, I'm a lot happier because then I don't have to deal with them. I like that the crowd social distancing is an issue here. Nobody's on public transportation griping about 6 feet, right? Most people aren't complaining. There are a few people that are way more overly hypersensitive about this, but most people have kind of gotten past that because they're just used to everything now and they just fall back in the routine of being around other people. So you get on a city bus, most people aren't going to say anything. You might get one Karen in there. Line the RPG. Yeah, line the LARP. Hey, Jaded, how you doing? Hey, Cracked. Hey, BG. If I missed anyone else, hi. So yeah, I don't know. That's stupid. People whining about irrelevant, dumb crap again, as usual. All right, let's talk about the director of Dune. This comes to bounding into comics. This guy's been in the news a lot lately. Dune director Denis Villeneuve, I don't know, posits Marvel and superhero films have turned us into zombies. Well, that's how it starts, everybody. That's the apocalypse. I've heard good things about this movie. So it could be pretty good. October 22nd in theaters and on HBO Max. Dennis's comments came during an interview to promote the upcoming Dune film with Spanish language website El Mundo. Using Google Translate. Okay. Isn't it contradictory to you that Dune is a blockbuster, the greatest exponent of commercial cinema, and therefore of the system it criticizes, who wants to become the conscious against the drift of capitalism? The director responded, just think of the golden age of Hollywood to see that commercial films can make a different artistic proposal and therefore political. I have never felt like a loss or an impediment to having a generous budget to do what I wanted to do, upside down. He then questioned, who said that a movie on a bigger budget can't be artistically relevant at the same time? I'm currently thinking people like Christopher Nolan and Alfonso Cuarón? I don't know. In a follow-up, Dennis would be asked about Martin Scorsese's recent comments about superhero films. Back in 2019, Scorsese spoke to Empire magazine to promote his Irishman film, blah, blah, blah. He said something to the effect of, I don't see them, I tried, but that's not cinema. He further added, honestly, the closest I could think of them as well made as they are, with the actors doing the best under their circumstances, is the theme parks. It isn't cinema of human beings trying to convey emotion psychological experience to another human being. And it's not pretentious, shitty art. That's what he's saying. In an op-ed published in the New York Times, I don't fucking care. Just get to the guy's response. All right. For me, cinema was about revelation, aesthetic, emotional, and spiritual revelation. It was about characters, the complexity of people, and their contradictory and sometimes paradoxical nature. The way they can hurt one another and love one another and suddenly come face to face with themselves, he said. He added, it was about confronting the unexpected to the screen and life it dramatized and interpreted, enlarging the sense of what was possible in the art form. Wow, Scorsese's really snotty. Oh, man, they've got this whole quote here. They're really filling some space. When asked about Scorsese's thoughts, which is just I'm a pretentious artsy dickbag, I paraphrased, Dennis responded, perhaps the problem is that we are in front of too many Marvel movies that are nothing more than a cut and paste of others. He added, perhaps these types of movies have turned us into zombies a bit, but big and expensive movies of great value, there are many today. I don't feel capable of being pessimistic at all. Yeah, I mean, look at this pretty lady. Come on, she's not even Asian. She's still cute. So basically, this guy's like, I could do art on a big budget or a tiny budget, which means in the future, I want my budget cut. So these directors all think they're creating the next Citizen Kane. Now, I've heard good things about this movie, but obviously this guy's a big lefty, and that's fine. If he wants to be a filthy commie, whatever. But I don't want to see filthy commie movies. And I've heard this is not a filthy commie movie, by the way. But you got to be careful with some of this stuff because these people are scumbags and they'll infiltrate and destroy everything you love. So if you're a Dune person, you might want to check with somebody you know that's seen it first. Keep huffing your own farts, Martin. No one cares. Exactly. You're on a roll today, Viking. Thought filmmaking was the new form of storytelling. Yeah, Louis, since the 1890s. I don't know. He's not wrong, but stop talking your movie. You should do. Yeah, movies are different things. Some are artsy, some are not. And it's very pretentious to think that every single piece of art has to be some life-changing thing. Is there a mouse in here? That noise is pissing me off. Sorry, I'm distracted now. But yeah, the artists can't see past their own egos. You are not necessarily creating fine art just because you think you are. But sometimes it's nice to see a popcorn film, and that there's nothing wrong with that. But we got a couple other Disney topics too, because most of the superhero stuff is Disney's. So let's kind of stick with that. Some art can be just fun and enjoyable. Exactly. It doesn't have to be something really high-tech and glorious. It can just be something people do for fun. Yeah, I can't figure out what that clawing noise is. It's definitely some kind of scratching. It's probably a mouse or a squirrel in the wall. But time to get the trap out. Disney news, yay. Oh, well, some of it's a mixed bag, so it's not all entirely bad. There's a lot of it that's bad, don't worry. But we got to cover it anyway. All right, awesome for bounding into comics. Walt Disney World employees protest the company's new COOF vaccine mandate requirements. Walt Disney World employees announced they would join together to march in protest of the company's mandates, which require cast members to be fully vaccinated by October 22nd. Revealing that many cast members have shown legitimate concern about what will happen once the new mandate goes into effect, event organizer Nick, something I can't pronounce, told Fox 35, we understand that the COOF is a very real health concern and that we all have to take it seriously, but many cast members have a legitimate basis for refusing vaccination. So many cast members felt alone and felt like they were the only ones who thought this was wrong. I think we were made to feel that way on purpose. Duh. But we have connected now and we are pushing back. and you're all going to get fired. According to the information provided via a press release, the march was scheduled to begin at 2 p.m., where protesters were expected to walk up and down Lake Buena Vista Boulevard to the middle of Disney World. That's bold. The Orlando Sentinel's Katie Rice shared a photo of the employees' protest to Twitter. She wrote, around 25 people are walking down road toward Disney to protest Disney's vaccine requirements for cast members. The protest was organized by a current cast member who said he distrusts the vaccine in its current form. Yeah, he's totally getting fired. Yeah, it looks like there's probably about, a dozen people here. Probably more off camera, too. Last month, the company's largest union of employees agreed to adopt a vaccine mandate that would require proof of vaccination for all cast members at the Florida theme park. The agreement itself, shared by the Services Trade Council union, stipulated that Disney World will require all active employees whose duties include working on site to be fully vaccinated by October 22nd, 2021. According to the information revealed within the agreement, the union agreed to make this decision based on the recommendation of scientists, local, state, and federal health officials, and the company's own medical professionals. Oh my God, can you imagine a Disney medical professional? What, do they dress like Minnie in a nurse's outfit and chase you with needles? Best protection, blah, blah, blah. It's also worth mentioning that not all cast members at the Florida theme park would be required to show near draconian mandate for medical or religious reasons. Employees who do not fall into the categories mentioned above would be let go by Disney World, although they would still retain a positive rehire status until they comply with the company policy. So, yeah, you can't work here until you get this. I, for one, look forward to our new number tattoos on our arms. But, yeah, I'm surprised people are pushing back, especially active employees, because they're not going to be active very long. That's effing goofy, right? Nope, nobody. There's nobody in my subterranean love den right now. Hey, Costin, how you doing, man? Final checks are being cut, right? Yep, termination papers are probably on their way. So, yeah, that doesn't surprise me that they're mandating this, but I am surprised people are pushing back on it. All right. Did you guys know they're remaking Lost Boys? Or a Lost Boys movie, I should say. It's a reimagined take. Reimagined. We all know what that means. It can be super woke. Science, you bigot, right? The science, not real science. How's it going, Straight Sith? Hey, Duck Dog. IBM made the quick tattoo device for the Germans. Yeah, right? Since scientists want to rely on for medical concerns. Doctors, they got... I'm sure they have a doctor character, right? Bob Dole news. Yeah, he's still alive. So there you go. All right, let's. Yeah, I did piss you off with Flight of the Navigator. You're not wrong. So let's talk about this. This is from the Hollywood Reporter. Jaden Martell. Oh, scrolling the wrong page there. New Lost Boys movie that works with Noah Jupe and Jaden Martell to star. Get rid of the stupid thing. I don't want that. All right, so here we have Noah Jupe, Jaden Martell, Randy McKinnon, and Jonathan Entwistle. That looks like a mugshot. Jesus. That dude's in my neighborhood. There may be an anonymous call to the cops because I'm going to think he kidnapped this girl. Warner Brothers has found was that a dude? I don't know. I honestly don't know. This is named Jaden. Warner Brothers has found the Lost Boys once again. The studio is gearing up for a brand new reimagined take on the 1980s teen vampire classic. That is a classic. It's an awesome movie. It had Kiefer Sutherland in it, and both the Frog Brothers there. And the one died. Noah Jupe, one of the stars of A Quiet Place movies. Ugh, you're selling that. And Jaden Martell, who was one of the youngest actors of the It horror movies, will top line the feature project. They got these effeminate dudes. Like, that dude's the only one that doesn't look like he has low testosterone. And he just looks bored and unhappy to be there. Ugh. Rising scribe Randy McKinnon, who is already working on Warner Brothers and DC's Static Shock project, will write the new Lost Boys with Jason Entwistle on board to direct. All right, so that's the director, this creepy-looking soy dude. That's the writer. And these two are going to star in it. I don't have a lot of faith here, guys. Like, he might write a great script, but this dude, will he even be on the loose at that time? Seriously, I'd call the cops if I saw that dude in my neighborhood. The original Lost Boys was a horror comedy that told the story of two brothers who, along with their newly divorced mother, moved to a California beach town, and they discover vampires. Yeah. Stylish vampire biker gang. Biker gang's kind of a stretch, but yeah, they were also taking bites from, from scenes where a couple of comic book loving brothers who thought themselves as vampire hunters. The movie released in 1987 and was directed by Joel Schumacher, who later went on to ruin Batman and Robin. And featured in an ensemble straight out of the Bop magazine, we had Jason Patric, Kiefer Sutherland, Jamie Gertz, Alex Winter, whoa, dude, plus Corey Feldman and Corey Haim, bringing up the age bracket where adults Diane West, Bernard Hughes, and Edward Herrmann. Yeah, great cast. And there's one thing I can't stand about that town. It's all the damn vampires. The movie is finally remembered for its young and sexy cast, as well as a soundtrack that featured acts like In Excess, Echo and the Bunnymen, Roger Daltrey, and Lou Gramm. Warner's reopened the casket in the 2000s with a pair of direct-to-DVD movies, Lost Boys: The Tribe and Lost Boys: The Thirst. Neither of those were very good. Details of the new take are being kept in the trunk of the 57 Ford Fairlane, but it's being described as set in the modern day. No duh. Bunch of crap I don't care about. The writer did a series called Chambers, starred Uma Thurman, and adapted a book called Notes from a Young Black Chef. I don't know what those are. And Swistle did End of the Effing World, acting as the series' main director, and a series called I'm Not Okay With This. I don't care about any of that. They're remaking Lost Boys, which doesn't need to be remade. It's an 80s movie. It was awesome. Watch the original. Far better movie than what they're going to churn out with Beta and Soy here. Instead of Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn, we got Huckleberry Beta and Thomas Soy. Ugh. This is going to be another pathetic. I bet you there's going to be a strong, independent woman of color in this that don't need no man. And she's going to be like the love interest who doesn't want them or need them and has to save them. I would almost put money on that. Oh, Zombies at a Guten level 9. Oh, that's not good. Hey, Gladys. Hey, Zombie. How you guys doing? Can't tell me the 80s was not kind of gat. The 80s was awesome for movies. They made fun movies. They don't have fun movies anymore. Now they're all serious or political. Great flick, still have a hard copy. Yeah, I've got it on Blu-ray, and I think I still have a VHS somewhere. Yeah, Joel Schumacher wrote the screenplay for The Wiz. Yeah, fun trivia. He's on down the road. I own that movie too. All right. All right, let's talk some comics. This one comes from Bleeding Cool. It looks like Aunt May and Doc Ock are getting together again in December Spider-Man comics. This is from 1973, where they were almost married. That was a great issue. I remember that storyline. Marvel will ship 6 a minimum of Spider-Man. What? That's not a sentence. All right, there's gonna be 6 Spider-Man comics in December, and one Spider-Man will fight another in a hot hero-on-hero action. The House of Ideas, that I don't think they should be called that anymore. Revealed on Wednesday. In addition to 4 regular issues of Amazing Spider-Man, Marvel will also ship Amazing Spider-Man 8.BEY and an issue of Miles Morales' Spider-Man that ties in with the new Spider-Man Beyond storyline. But the biggest news of all is that Marvel is teasing a rekindling of the romance between Aunt May and Doc Ock. From the press release, launching next month, a new era of Amazing Spider-Man beyond your wildest expectations. Well, those are pretty low these days, Marvel. Begins when Peter Parker is hospitalized. Yeah, they were saying he's dead. So Ben Reilly takes over as Spider-Man. And that's just the start. Brought to you by an all-star lineup of writers and artists, including Patrick Gleason, Cody Ziegler, Zeb Wells, Kelly Thompson, and Saladin Ahmed. The Spider-Man mythos is ready to web-sling into uncharted territory. Look at all the web puns. And come December, this explosive saga will see exciting developments, including an epic showdown between Miles Morales and Ben Reilly. I hope Ben Reilly kicks the shit out of him. Possible rekindled romance between Aunt May and Doc Ock, and more. We know Ben Reilly's going to lose because he has the wrong melanin content. Hero versus hero because Marvel has no ideas. Why not have team-ups instead? Nope, can't do that. Comic issue numbers with decimals. Whoa, that's so original. Ugh. All right, so here's... Why does she look like she's about to poop? Is she incontinent now? Sad. They're trying to de-age Aunt May. She's supposed to be a little old lady, and now she's looking like she's like really pissed off Murphy Brown. There's Miles Morales in his new costume? Tracksuit? I don't know. Fighting Ben Reilly, who's at least a character that I like. Or don't hate, I should say. They did improve him after Clone Saga, but just took a while. That's a boring fucking cover. What is it? You missed the like dash lines, and it's a family circus panel from like a Sunday strip. It's fucking stupid. Oh, look over there. There's over here, up here. There's a better picture that would be more exciting. Oh, okay. All this stuff in the foreground clutters it. See your eyes drawn down here. Here, your eyes drawn down here or over here. This draws your eye up to the fist. His finger draws your eye up to the fist. Nothing is drawing your eyes to Spider-Man. Except his elbow here. That's it. Everything else is drawing your eye away from the central focus, which should be Spider-Man. Swear these people never went to art school. And that looks like he has little things of cotton coming out of his mask. Or pus. Like, he didn't have to dye his hair blonde. That's stupid. It's lazy, too. They think we're all dumb, though, so there's that. So, let's see. Here's Miles Morales. Yep. Okay. That costume is kind of dumb looking. It does look like a tracksuit with one of those zip-up hoods. So, I don't know what you guys think about this, but it could be a good storyline, but I've seen who's working on this. Cody Ziegler, not a big fan. Mark Bagley did the cover, though. So, Spider-Man looks cool, at least, and so does Doc Ock, but they de-aged her. I don't like that. I think Marvel is actually making an effort to try and improve. It's just not a very good effort because they've got a bunch of wokus. Has Peter ever slept wall climbed? Yes. Yes, he has done that before, and it's implied that him and Mary Jane had sex upside down on the ceiling one time. Not wrong. Yeah, every woman has to be a strong, independent woman that don't need no man. Viking, absolutely. Well, the reason she's alive is... they're going to retcon that, apparently. They've been talking about that anyway. What they're doing, Louis, I have maintained that this is conspiracy theory is true. I came up with this a while ago. They're doing all these remakes so you forget about the originals. and then they just slowly stop releasing the original. They put out limited edition 4K, and they don't tell you it's limited. So there's only like 10,000 of them out there. And then slowly they start putting in the edited versions of like RoboCop, and then eventually it just stops being on streaming services, and they only offer the new one. And that's what they give to the broadcast cable companies. Because you'll notice if you watch enough TV, like my dad does, they don't play the originals. He was complaining about the other day that they don't play the originals anymore. They just play the remakes. He doesn't like the remakes. And RoboCop was the one he noticed it with. So yeah, it's my theory that they're vaulting the originals and they're only going to market the other ones so that it's harder to see the originals and you only get the woke remake Burger King Kids Club squads. That's just a theory, though. Until they need a jar open, right? Yeah, there's a lot of these people that kind of soy. Jack, if Doc Ock had a tentacle in your turtle cave, you'd look constipated. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But you don't know what he does with those hands. Maybe she's into it. It's just a theory, Louis, but it's a theory I love. Yeah, the original was way better, Rotten Corpse. You're right. It wasn't a horrible movie, but it wasn't as good as the original, and it wasn't nearly as memorable. Yeah, I always try and get physical media, and apparently there's rumor that some of even the physical media that are coming out, like the re-release of Back to the Future, is supposed to be slightly edited, so you might want to be aware of that too. So yeah, always try and preserve your physical media as much as possible, or at least like have a digital copy of it somewhere saved. All right, let's talk some Lord of the Rings and Arkham Horror. This comes to us from comicbook.com. Lord of the Rings and Arkham Horror card game expansions will be re-released in new format. Fantasy Flight Games has announced the older expansions of both Lord of the Rings, the card game, and Arkham Horror, the card game, will be repackaged and re-released in the coming months to take advantage of the studio's new approach to living card game expansion cycles. Following the announcement, the future expansions of Arkham Horror, the card game, would be released via 2 expansion boxes, one featuring only story content and the other featuring new investigator cards for players. Fantasy Flight Games announced that it would be repackaging existing expansion cycles for both Arkham Horror under the new format. Additionally, Fantasy Flight also announced they would be releasing a new revised core set for Lord of the Rings, as well as re-releasing several of the game's expansion cycles and similar player expansions and campaign expansion box sets. The revised core set for Lord of the Rings would not only include enough cards to support up to 4 players right out of the box, it would also include new campaign cards, boons, and burdens that hadn't been released for the game before. As this existing players of the game will be able to use these cards for free via print-to-play versions that will be released on the website. Pfft, what a waste. Fantasy Flight Games head of studios Chris Gerber was quick to note that not every Lord of the Rings card game expansion would be re-released, but these re-releases will be designed to help introduce new players to the game. Now, I've played the Arkham Horror card game, and it's pretty fun. I do like Fantasy Flight's games, even though they do seem to be edging toward woke recently. Yeah, exactly, Louis. They forget about the Haley What's-Her-Face's movie. The Dread movie with Carl Urban deserved a sequel. Yeah, absolutely. The Stallone one, I hated that movie. Even the Two-Armed Santi was a badass in it. Yeah, Armando Santi is a good actor. He plays a great villain, too. But yeah, I'm actually interested in this. The Lord of the Rings game I've heard good things about, but I'm not that big of a Lord of the Rings fan, quite frankly. But the Arkham Horror card game is a lot of fun. So if you're interested in deck building games, those are good choices. I have Arkham Horror. I wish I had enough people to play. often enough to make it worth the investment. Yeah, it is expensive. Yeah, Haley Mills. Thank you. I can only think of Nikki Haley, and that's a congressperson. I knew that wasn't right. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed a couple donations here. My bad. Thank you, Baby Doll 76, for the generous donation. Just woke up from an old lady nap, so money for one of my favorite cat servants. Oh, thank you, Baby Doll. That's awesome of you. And I hope you had a good nap. I love naps, mostly because I inadvertently take them now. But thank you so much for that. And thank you, Okie Native. The only legitimate excuse anyone needs to not get shot is, I don't want to. Full stop. Too bad so many of our countrymen unearthed that fear-mongering authoritarian streak. Yeah, well, unfortunately, that's bred into people with this sort of selfishness that's going around. That's why we have so many problems in pop culture, too. People need to grow up. But thank you, Oki and Baby Doll. I appreciate that. You guys are awesome. My naps end up being, like, I start them out at 20 minutes, and they end up being 2 hours most of the time, which that's how you take a nap. Because naps are awesome. All right. Let's talk about She-Ra. Princess of Power. So let's see. He-Man's sister has some news coming to us from Cosmic Book News. She-Ra live action headed to Amazon, not Netflix. This is actually big news because the rumor was it's going to Netflix. And it sounds like it's going to be sort of like a Xena Warrior Princess type show, real low budget, but that kind of tongue-in-cheek fun. But there's a lot of hate going on toward it. Should it be She-Ma'am? No, apparently the cartoon fans from the recent cartoon are really pissed about this because it's not going to be tied into that, and they wanted a movie. Yeah, Gladius, I understand it completely. I have really bad insomnia, too. A She-Ra live-action series is headed to Amazon Prime and not Netflix, which is where the recent animated series aired. It's also learned the She-Ra live-action series will have nothing to do with the Netflix animated series, though DreamWorks Animation is executive producing the Amazon series, which also produced the Netflix series. Variety reports the new She-Ra series is in early development, a writer's not yet attached, and it will feature a new standalone story. It's also noted the series is not guaranteed to get greenlit. It's probably got pretty good odds, though. Look, Hank Venture in drag. She-Ra connected to He-Man. It's unclear whether or not the anime series will connect at all to He-Man, as She-Ra was created in 1985 as a spin-off of He-Man, where He-Man helped his long-lost twin in Adora escape Hordak, and he gave her the Sword of Protection, which enabled Adora to turn into She-Ra. The Netflix animated series retconned things by removing all of She-Ra's connection to He-Man, surprise, where Adora was instead an orphan who escaped the Horde on Etheria and found the Sword of Protection. The creators of the She-Ra Netflix series are also involved in the disaster of Kevin Smith's Master of the Universe Revelation series and the new Goofy He-Man animated series on Netflix. So cross your fingers they aren't involved with the live-action version at Netflix. Yeah, I think that was probably a smart move to move it away from Netflix, but Amazon is not that much less woke. So I'm not sure how this is going to go. If it does get greenlit, I hope it's just a fun adventure show. But I have a little more faith that Amazon could do it, but they're almost as woke as Netflix. So this could go either way. It may not even end up on Amazon. It's just looking like it's going to. Give it some 80s camp and I'm on board, right? Why can't they just make a fun show? Raylo's BTS stands there insane, right? Yeah, those people are nuts. Amazon, you got the ability to dunk on Netflix and earn some dedicated fans. Yeah, they absolutely could, but I think they put politics above profit. Problem was the Netflix She-Ra wasn't as popular as their fans tried to make it seem. That's very true, because that show sucked. Still won't trust it since it's both live action and Amazon, although I trust Amazon slightly more than Netflix. I'm right there with you, BG. No lies detected. The She-Ra fans were nuts. They would post constantly on different forums with their shipping delusions and stuff like that. Which, okay, if you're a teenage girl, I get that. But if you're a grown adult doing ships, that's kind of weird and a little creepy. Wonder if the 1998 Psycho film was some sort of test. No, I think they were just trying to do a remake. That was really before a lot of this woke crap hit. So I think they were actually just trying to do a remake. Just like the Rear Window remake with Christopher Reeves and the Village of the Damned remake he did, which was a solid film, by the way. I like that remake. And Invaders from Mars, they did a remake of that in the 80s. So I think the real hardcore, sneaky remakes really hit around 2000. That's when they started really getting kind of out of control. But you just never know. Can't be a grown adult and do ships. That's my... No. Wrong kind of ship. Shipping as in like, oh, my two favorite characters have to bang. As opposed to like, I'm going to block an important port of entry by turning my ship sideways. Yeah, the Shining remake. Totally unnecessary. The version with Jack Nicholson was still the best. Although the sci-fi movie version was probably more accurate to the book, you're not really going to beat the Stanley Kubrick version, I don't think. Some people don't like it for whatever reason, but it was still a much betterly made movie. And I can't talk today because it's only 9 p.m. and I'm exhausted. Let's talk about Roger Rabbit. This one comes to us from Bounding Into Comics. One of the best sources for comic and movie news. Disneyland updating Jessica Rabbit scenes and Roger Rabbit attraction to make them more relevant. So she's going to be in a burqa. Disney has announced the cartoon Spin, the Disneyland attraction based on the 1988 animated film Who Framed Roger Rabbit, will soon see updates to scenes featuring the eponymous rabbit's sultry wife Jessica Rabbit in order to make the ride more relevant. According to the OC Register by Disney officials, some scenes in Roger Rabbit's cartoon Spin featuring Jessica Rabbit are being updated to be more relevant and reflect a new twist in the character's story within the attraction. The modified scenes will include one wherein Jessica has been taken captive by the film's villainous gang of weasels and thrown into the trunk of a car in the attraction's final moment, which we see her break free from captivity and fight back against her captors. Because she's a strong, independent woman that don't need no man. She was a strong woman on her own before that. Well, an Instagram post by theme park blogger The Cobbly has confirmed that the former scene has been modified to have the two-dimensional beauty replaced with a barrel of drip, the substance used to melt tunes by Judge Doom. It is unclear how the latter will be affected by the change of Jessica's role. So they got rid of her to put in two barrels. That's not weird. I guess you can't trunk women. According to a promotional image released alongside the announcement, this new twist will reportedly see Jessica throw her fedora in the ring by starting her own private investigation service. So this has nothing to do with Roger Rabbit. This has everything to do with Jessica Rabbit. So she's the newest PI in Mickey's Toontown. Citing the recent return of the Toon Patrol Weasels as the main driver behind the recent sharp rise in crime statistics throughout Mickey's Toontown, Jessica Rabbit has determined it's past time for her to throw her fedora into the ring by starting her own private investigation service. That is a run-on sentence. While taking inspiration from longtime friend, legendary Toon detective Eddie Valiant, Jessica shows that she certainly means business. Jessica's fabled acting career has made her one of the most recognized stars in the Maroon cartoon family of performers. Now she's using her celebrity to speak out. Enough is enough. Jessica has exclaimed last week, the good tunes of our neighborhood are getting afraid to come out at night. And it's getting worse by the day. Those weasels are up to something big. So the ride's focused on her. Fine. Suddenly, though unrelated to Jessica herself, What's-His-Face also noted that a set decoration of Baby Herman smoking a cigar featured in the ride's queue has said cigar removed from display. Yeah, we'll want to keep with the theme of the movie. changes to cartoon spin but the latest in Disney's efforts to update the attraction for modern audiences. Modern audiences translates pretty well to pussy crybabies. Previously, Disney removed the wench scene from the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, as well as a number of images set throughout Jungle Cruise. Going forward, the company intends to make similar sensitivity updates to Splash Mountain. That's a nice way of saying they're removing all the Brer Rabbit stuff, and they're going to change it completely to Princess and the Frog. At least the original was of age. Yeah. Yeah, she was a lounge singer in the film. That qualifies her, obviously. Said the original. Yeah, you're not wrong, BG. People started doing videos on Mandela Effect en masse 9 months prior. One woman did an article on it a little while after vids became popular and meme. Companies started editing older films. Yeah, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? I've been seeing a lot of films or videos lately about the Mandela Effect again, so I don't know. People just copy off each other, I guess, but it gave somebody a bad idea. Clownfish TV reacted to the news by succinctly stating Disney's Diversity and Inclusion Initiative claims another attraction. Probably not inaccurate. Neon adds, this is part of their Diversity and Inclusion Initiative, which we've seen them make a lot of changes that nobody asked for a lot of different attractions with more changes on the way. Oh, yeah, I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. But this in no way surprises me. They'll probably redo her outfit, too, to be less revealing and more garbage bag shape. Maybe give her a burqa or something. I don't know. Gotta de-sexify people because you're not allowed to be pretty anymore. They'll probably get rid of the songs, too, or give her something a little more, appropriate. So she'll sing about like Black Lives Matter and injustice and how white people are the devil. That sort of thing. Usual stuff. Alrighty, let's see what we got next. Oh yeah, some more board game news. This is from Dicebreaker. Now I should have done this one back to back with the other one, but I wasn't paying attention. So we just talked about Arkham Horror getting a revised edition of the card game, right? Why don't you do right? I do that a lot, actually. In real life, people just get annoyed by it. Arkham Horror and Twilight Imperium and Android Studio Fantasy Flight is considering a legacy game. Now, if you're not familiar with legacy games, I played the Clank one. It's a lot of fun. Basically, they give you a sheet full of stickers, or several sheets, and there's cards in there that when you reach a certain point, you open up a card, like there'll be a mini quest or something, and it'll tell you to open up card number 35. So you go to the card 35. It tells you to find a sticker on a sticker sheet and what the sticker does. So it'll be like a new piece on the map, that sort of thing. That could be really cool for Arkham Horror. But it's a one-time use game, and they're usually like $100. So Fantasy Flight Games, publisher behind Arkham Horror Files series, Twilight Imperium, Android, and more be set to release its first legacy game in the future. As part of the publisher's recent in-flight report, everybody references the same thing. Latest R&D efforts will reveal that the studio's been looking into the possibility of a legacy game. While French was insistent that a Fantasy Flight legacy game was still only an idea that was being explored at the moment, not promising a game will come of it, the team's been asking what does an FFG legacy game look like? French revealed that Kara Cantel-Dunk, senior designer of the recent Descent Legends of Darkness, who previously worked on games including Mansions of Madness and Lord of the Rings Journey to Middle-earth, had spent the summer exploring what the answer to that question might be. Somebody needs a hobby. Confirming the ultimate goal is to take those ideas and focus on them in a new game. Among the focus on What's-Her-Face's efforts, French added, was to consider different narrative possibilities and original legacy moments that could make a new legacy game stand out and shine in the genre. Also looking into how manufacturing possibilities could make the game unique from a production standpoint, potentially hit an evolution in impressive multi-level 3D environments featured in Legacy Legends of the Dark. Now, the Pandemic one's a lot of fun too. I played the first 5 scenarios of the first Legacy one. This one's the second one, I think. I think there's 3 of them now. But we played the first one for about 5 sessions, and then we played the Clank one. I think we finished that. And the Clank one was really fun, but the Pandemic one was just hard. So, yeah, they could look at these games and how they're doing it and kind of get inspiration from that without actually copying it, because it'd be a little more difficult with Arkham. Fantasy Flight previously experimented with Legacy-style elements in the Android Netrunner expansion Terminal Directive, which introduced a narrative campaign and modification via stickers to the since-canceled Living Card game. However, the studio is yet to launch a full Legacy game in the vein of the genre forerunners such as Pandemic Legacy, Risk Legacy, and Betrayal Legacy that offered a complete campaign-driven experience with destructible elements, unlockable content, and permanent player progression. Judging by French's closing remarks, though, that may soon change. So, yeah, this sounds like it could be really, really cool. I'm not as excited about Twilight Imperium because that game sucks. I hate that game. I understand it's a classic and all that, but I don't need to lose an entire weekend to play one board game. Seriously, it's 12 to 14 hours. No, thank you. But Arkham Horror, I would definitely be down for that. So I believe this is the Pandemic one here, pictured. It looks like it. That's a cool game, but the Clank one was the best. It was $100 too. Hit the like button if you're not a commie. Yep. Damn right. And share it around on your social media. Haven't done basic research to see the idea already exists as an IP, right? That's a lot of work looking around. She probably played one of the games, was like, hey, we should copy this. It's not like they could, you can't own board game rules per se. So that makes it a little easier. So they can kind of get away with, as long as they do it in their own way, they're not going to get sued. They'd probably have to call it something other than Legacy, though. Play the game for nearly a year. Wow. All right, I got some funny news about a Marvel actor, but I'm going to save that for a minute because I'm a dick. So let's take a look at a new RPG. Damn phone, right? This from Dice Breakers as well. Faulty Towers-inspired RPG Flabbergasted invites players into the ridiculous world of high society. It's silly, guys. It's silly. Look at this. Doesn't this just look exciting? And maybe if you play the dog in the RPG, this looks stupid. Become a member of high society and blunder your way through in Flabbergasted, an upcoming role-playing game set during the Roaring 20s. Inspired by the likes of the classic British shows such as Faulty Towers and Jeeves and Wooster, as well as the beloved novel Around the World in 80 Days, those 3 things do not really go well together. And its various adaptations, Flabbergasted has players navigating the hoity-toity world of the aristocracy and upper classes, taking place turn of the century. Flabbergasted invites its players to turn on the charm and attempt to blag their way through the many social hoops of the bright young things. In the role-play, this sounds boring as shit. In the role-playing game, players will be able to create characters from one of 4 different classes, meant both in traditional RPG terms and literally, which will affect how other players and non-player characters will treat them. As an affable aristocrat, almost all social doors will be open to them, whilst the entrepreneurial, well-to-do class will have to negotiate using their exciting new wealth alongside the creatively driven and fascinating bohemian class. Otherwise, players could choose to create a character in the help class. Should take a more hands-on approach to the situation that their more foppish fellows can't tackle. This sounds more and more boring. Yes, we're going to role-play a tea party where you're the staff. Ugh. And look at this. I'm an effeminate man of color with a generic woman of power See, she's already got Indy's whip, and she's holding him. Ha ha, tee hee. Yeah. Can we point out that these people would rarely, there would not be this much diversity in this time period together. I'm sorry. See this rowing team? These two would not be on that rowing team. They'd be on their own rowing team, where these guys weren't on it either. So historical accuracy, let's just flush that shit down. As a party of social climbers and opportunistic diners, players will be able to become members of the up-and-coming social club or attempt to receive invites to one of the 8 potential secret societies, or just generally try and make a name for themselves in the fast-moving world of the 1920s fictional city of Peccadillo. This is so unoriginal. Though there is much to be excited about, where the player characters will have to be careful to not embarrass themselves or cause a scandal in the rules-light RPG, otherwise they risk tarnishing their valuable reputation. You mean like by associating themselves with the coloreds? There would be a lot of racism here. I'm sorry. These people would not be on a... Well, that guy would be, he's rowing, but these two would not be on a boat with this guy, and these guys would not be on a boat with this guy. They'd be on their own boat teams, and these guys would be at a prestigious school, and they'd be at a really poor black college. And this dog would probably be eaten by somebody. Flabbergasted is set to be created and released, it is not even done yet, by the Wanderer's Tome, a role-playing game company co-founded by Fleur and Chelsea Sorrentino. Previous RPGs published by the Wandering Tome included Murder at God's Grave Keep, murder mystery style set in the Shadow of the Lord. Fundraising campaign is set to hit Kickstarter. This is an ad. With a campaign launch, estimated delivery yet to be confirmed. This is right here is the worst thing you could do because it's vastly historically inaccurate. I mean, the premise is already kind of boring and stupid, but you're going to make it incredibly, ludicrously, historically inaccurate anyway. And this tells you what you can expect. This is thirsty sword lesbians all over again. So, yeah, these people would not be associating with each other. So, if you're going to set something in the 20s, you should probably have, if you already have the class structure, you should probably have the other elements as well, just for the sake of realism and honesty. This game sounds annoying, not fun. Yep. Or you could, my time travel game, literally rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic. Yeah. Yeah, the rowing guy, well, he might be the servant, so. Let's be honest, crew is still white-dominated sport to this day. Yep. Boats and swimming are still a touchy subject. Yeah. That's true. That has nothing to do with Faulty Towers or Jeeves and Wooster. You're right. They're just trying to get the name recognition off of them. No, they've probably never seen him either. So sadly, that is just something to get name and brand recognition. So you can be like, oh, so it's a wacky thing. And their idea of funny is not normal people's idea of funny. Well, let's laugh at Marvel a little bit more. So this comes to us from Bleeding Fool, and they're awesome because they don't have pop-ups. Whoa, but I'm gonna trigger somebody's epilepsy doing that apparently. Marvel Comics Al Ewing displays even more hypocrisy on social media. Look at that dour look. Like, do you even want to be here today? Far left-leaning writer Ewing, who threw artist Joe Bennett under the bus recently, supposedly because he detested his political cartoons, has quite a double standard as seen in the following pictures. Al Ewing here, going to retweet this, and if you're not following Sal, then you should. Please support these community bail funds. Yeah, so he was upset about political drawings that Bennett did, and here he is making political statements. And Saladin Ahmed is a known far left-leaning guy, and he has real hatred for Jewish people, from what I can tell. So he wants to bomb Israel, protests for Palestine, lots of marching. See these screen caps of messages where Al Ewing endorses the Israel bashing Saladin Ahmed. This is all you need to know, that Ewing's shunning of artist Joe Bennett over his political cartoons based on Brazilian President Javier Bolsonaro, that's an awesome name, was not altruistic. This is shameful, and a good reason as any to not buy Ewing's writings. No, a good reason not to buy his writings is because he's not a good writer. He could be, but he refuses to try, and he's just sort of a lazy writer. With that told, Ewing's phony scandal has, unsurprisingly, led to Marvel cutting ties with Bennett. Marvel's removed Joe Bennett from duties drawing the upcoming Timeless #1 event one-shot. Marvel spokesperson told Newsarama the company will not be working with him on any future Marvel projects. And Marvel has a habit of stuff like this, but they really didn't sever ties real quick with that guy that drew the weird messages in X-Men Gold #1. As Bounding notes, Bill Sienkiewicz has also gotten away with his own revolting political illustrations, and nobody calling for disciplining him over his shoddy behavior. Yeah, that guy's an asshole too. Great artist, but a complete psycho, from what I can tell. Which means it's just business as usual in an industry now dominated by people with no respect for Stan Lee's Jewish brethren. I don't think it's specifically against the Jews. They just, if you're of a certain politics, you're allowed to work. If you're not, you have to be destroyed. Whatever Bennett's flaws, which I hope he'll mend and improve upon in the future, yeah, I won't hold my breath. I sadly hope he gets jobs at better employers than he had until recently. He honestly should never have taken the assignment to illustrate a book by such an extreme ideologue when there's a lot of other better possibilities out there. As long as Marvel and DC are in the hands of such awful people, there's no point in working for them. Yeah, Avi's right here. I think the hypocrisy is pretty evident, but I expect that from Marvel people. They are hypocrites, and they are a bunch of whiny, crybaby lefties that will support Antifa and these bailout funds and stuff like that, but when somebody else supports something they don't like, they try and destroy their lives. Look what happened to Jay Lee when Lee tried to do a cover for Ethan Van Sciver, and say what you will about Van Sciver, he just hired an artist to do work for hire. And Tom King tried to destroy him and shun him out of the industry. Apropos of nothing whatsoever, but I'm watching classic movie The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then Bigfoot. Oh, is it any good? I heard that was pretty good. Looks like it's accused to throw a LARPing dinner party. It looks like Wander's games are called dinner party games. Ugh, boring. The aristocrats joke. No, James, sorry. It's not anywhere near that cool. Not anywhere near. All right, let's see here. We got some more comic book news. Let's do some of that. This is from ICV2. Hey, Adabisi, how you doing, man? J.M. DeMatteis to pen Ben Reilly's Spider-Man. New series will star Peter Parker's clone, but it's not what you think. Veteran Spider-Man writer J.M. DeMatteis, whose previous work included one of the greatest Spider-Man stories, Kraven's Last Hunt, and a bunch of other stuff, with artist Dave Baldion, will be the creative team behind a new series featuring Peter Parker's clone, Ben Reilly. Ben Reilly's Spider-Man #1 will debut in January with a cover by Steve Scroce and David Stewart. And in the announcement, Marvel compared the series to Peter David and Greg Land's symbiote Spider-Man. It tells all new stories set in a particular Spider-Man era. At the same time, Amazing Spider-Man is taking a different track, bringing Parker and Reilly together in their latest story arc, which launches in October. What I've always found fascinating about Ben Reilly is that he's Peter Parker, and yet he's not, DeMatteis said in a statement accompanying Marvel's announcement of the new series. Life has taken Ben on a strange, twisted path and altered him, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. But like Peter, he's a man who's constantly striving to do the right thing, even if he doesn't always succeed. Ben is wonderfully, painfully human, immensely relatable, and our new Ben Reilly Spider-Man series allows me to dive even deeper into Ben's psyche to explore him in new and, I hope, interesting ways. Now, I have some moderate hopes for this because DeMatteis is a really good writer, and he did do Kraven's Last Hunt, and the Spider-Man Lost Years was pretty good too. So was his X-Factor run, if I remember correctly. But when Peter David did the Ben Reilly series, it was okay up until the very end, where you could tell he got really, really bitter that the series was being canceled, and he crapped all over the character. So I think DeMatteis setting this in the past, it could be a really interesting book with some interesting adventures, because they could have him in other places other than New York. And that could be some really cool adventures. It's a Sam Elliott movie, enough said. Right? Sam Elliott's awesome. You know, he changed a couple of letters around. Oh, Dave Baldwin. Yeah, well, you know, everybody's got a title. No, that was Peter Parker random, and that was one of the worst Spider-Man stories ever written. So that could be good. I'm going to read the first issue, maybe the first two, depending. But it's got potential, at least. Even if it is, God forbid, the Clone Saga guy, it still could be better than what they're churning out for the main characters. All right, only a few more articles to go. Let's talk about Marvel fans making fun of Marvel, because that always makes me giggle. They've killed him off a few times, Oki, but they keep bringing him back. And I don't know. I don't know why. Nobody's ever dead in Marvel for long. Marvel fans roast the company for celebrating Hispanic Latinx Heritage Month. Because you knew that would happen. Marvel fans weren't having any of Marvel's virtue signaling after they called on fans to celebrate Hispanic Latinx Heritage Month. And no, Latinx is not the Latin American X-Men. I thought of that already a long time ago, and it's just not true. Because they would all be over the border by now. In a post on Facebook, Marvel wrote, "Celebrate Hispanic Latinx Heritage Month with some mighty Marvel Games updates." Post included a link to an article with the heading that read, "Marvel Games celebrates Hispanic Latinx Heritage Month." That doesn't even flow well from speaking it. The post promotes a slew of Marvel mobile games such as Marvel's Future Flight, Marvel Puzzle Quest, Marvel Strike Force, Marvel Contest of Champions, and Marvel Future Fight. So it promotes Marvel Future Fight twice because you mentioned it twice. Come on, John, edit. You said it first and then last. All right, we got the White Tiger. Funny story about or White Panther, I should say. I have a really funny but gross story about somebody we called the White Tiger that I will tell on a stream that's more appropriate than this. I see Miles Morales and America Chavez, Spider-Man 2099 in his stupid costume, and Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider. The only character in here that's really cool is Spider-Man 2099, and that costume sucks. In the comments, fans blasted them, saying, here's Bill Martin, "Stop being disrespectful with this Latinx garbage. It's Latino or Latina. Oh, gendered language, you monster. Moya or Menta. We'd much rather not have the X and other topics. Spider-Man 2099 was the coolest one to play in Shattered Dimensions." Absolutely true. Shattered Dimensions was a lot of fun. Man, I sucked at that game. Here's Roma Kong. You know, Latin America is a term, and it's also a gender neutral. Stop with the Latinx. We could say Latin American Heritage Month. Yeah, that sounds better, too. Hispanic, Latinx. Just doesn't flow well. Adam wrote, "I'm just impressed how literally every corpo adopts the very latest year progressive terminology, even though practically no one identifies with it. Seriously, simultaneously creepy as hell and impressive. Just the instance year in and year out, regardless of what the masses say or think. Fact." Nathan Mendenhall said, "Still saying Latinx with the vast majority of Latinos don't use it, or even find it offensive. Yeah, they did a poll where a lot of people thought it was offensive because it was insulting to their language. It's Ag, as a Latinx, please stop stop referring to us as Latinx. Laughy faces. There's Philip. Stop appropriating their culture and changing their language to fit your own superiority complex politics. Nice. Daniel said Latinx. Just say Hispanic. It's less offensive. Right? Benito Juarez said, oh, that's a cool name. Marvel, please quit flaunting the Latinx agenda. It's not popular among many of your Latina fan base. Fact. I'd celebrate if you stopped using Latinx as a descriptor. What's a Latinx? Am I Wolverine's spawn? It'd be a lot cooler if you didn't refer to us as Latinx. Thanks. See, I'm offended by the term Latinx. No one gave anyone the right to rewrite my heritage. Nice. Latinx is a slur. It's not going to catch up. Latinos and Latinas hate it. Latinx is not a thing. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, that was fun. Apparently, if you go through and look at the Twitter feed, I stopped after like 30 of them. But they were just dogpiling Marvel for that stupid shit. So good on them. I hope more people push back like this. Hey, Pete. How you doing? Hey, Deckfish. Hello. Everyone in my family and friends despises the word Latinx. Yeah, because it's stupid. It's dehumanizing. You know, it's a gendered language, like most languages. English is one of the few that doesn't have a lot of gendered words. We do have some, like blonde. B-L-O-N-D is masculine. You put an E on it, and it's feminine. We don't have a lot of those words compared to most languages, but any of the Latin root languages that are hardcore Latin root languages, English comes from German and Latin, and both of those are gendered languages. But the Romance languages like French, Spanish, Latin, those are very, very gendered languages. And to diminish that by trying to create words because you think it's necessary makes you a colonialist because you're the one trying to change somebody else's culture. So stop colonizing other languages. It's not that hard to not be an asshole. I mean, being an asshole is fun, don't get me wrong. But don't bully people with your stupid crap. Hey, Lester, how you doing, man? Oh, I'm okay, Pete. Usual stuff. I'm really tired today. I don't know. I didn't sleep real good last night. I was kind of up and down, and it's messed up my whole day. Yeah, Lester, most people don't think of that, but that is a great example of gendered phrasing in English. It's one of the few ones that kind of lingers still around. There are a lot of them that have just kind of fallen out of favor, and just that we've changed the spelling or something like that over the years. And it happened gradually and naturally. But this forcing of language is really, really upsetting to a lot of people. And I don't blame Latin American people for being upset about it because it's an insult to their culture. Their language is the way it is for a reason, and they like it that way. So quit messing with it. And Latinx sounds stupid. Latino and Latina, very easy to say. It flows off the tongue. Latinx. It sounds like a weird electronica band run by the Mutants. Nightmares for me, though. Kind of hard to get back to sleep after Cannibals. Yeah, understandable. Cannibals will ruin your day. Been watching recently X-Men Evolution. I don't think I ever saw that one. All right, sleep is for the weak. That's right. That's where Freddy Krueger lives. Sleep is weakness entering the body. That's what us insomniacs know to be true. You're playing with your Latinx card. I don't have a Latinx card. But if I did, no, I don't think I'd play that. I'd probably throw it in someone's face at some point. That's one of the great things about if I was a minority, I would do that all the time. Be like, to the progressive types that want to control the language, I'd be like, why are you colonizing my language? Stuff like that. Mostly because I'm just a dick, but It does sound like something to help you poop. You're not wrong. Sleep is when I pass out at the desk here, paying like a credit card. All right, check this out. This is from IDW's website. IDW Publishing expands partnership with Penguin Random House Publisher Services in an exclusive multi-year agreement to distribute IDW comics worldwide. This seems to indicate, we'll get into it, but Penguin is also distributing Marvel's comics. So this is a big hit in the nuts for Diamond. This is from September 17th, obviously. IDW Publishing, the award-winning publisher of comic books, graphic novels, and art books, and Penguin Random House Publishing Services, division of Penguin Random House, today announced an exclusive worldwide multi-year sales and distribution agreement with IDW's newly published and backlist comic book periodicals, trade collections, and graphic novels to the direct market comic shops beginning June 1st, 2022. The new agreement complements and expands their current partnership in which Penguin sells and distributes IDW trades, book front lists, and backlists to bookstores. Celebrated for its diverse catalog of licenses. Oh, skip this shit. Come on. By expanding its reach into the direct market, not Margaret. I don't know who Direct Margaret is, but she's not involved in this. By expanding its reach into the direct market, Penguin Random House's mission is to support comic shops in fostering a lifelong love of comics, graphic novels, and mangas for fans of all ages. Penguin is a free freight company and is committed to bolstering all physical retail where independently owned comic shops and bookstores are some of the most passionate industry advocates and anchors for the community. Penguin Random House's fourth and newest distribution facility, a 1 million square foot warehouse in Hampstead, Maryland, recently went operational, and in tandem with the company's fulfillment headquarters in nearby Westminster, will be the centerpieces for its comics direct market supply chain. IDW succeeds when the direct market succeeds, said IDW publisher Nancy Marsham. No matter how amazing our comics and graphic novels may be, it's the retailers that are connecting readers with our stories. Because of that, I couldn't be more excited about our future with Penguin Random House, and I have the utmost confidence that every store, no matter the size, will see the benefits of the high levels of care and service that Penguin brings. Jeff Abram, president of Penguin Random House Publisher Services, said IDW has been wonderful partners these past 5 years, and it's been thrilling to see the evolution of its publishing program and to support the phenomenal growth of their graphic novels into the book trade. With Penguin's expansion in the direct market, we see this as a natural extension of that partnership and look forward to putting their expertise in Penguin supply chain, customer knowledgeability, and sales know-how and solution-centered customer service to help bring IDW comics and graphic novels to even more fans throughout the world. Direct market retailers can choose to order IDW products direct from Penguin or alternately through Diamond as a wholesaler under terms established by Diamond in the US and UK. These retailers now have 24 access to online ordering and can also visit the website, a website for comics, graphic novels, manga, and more specifically designed. Okay, so the crux of this is that they're doing the same thing Marvel did, which is slightly breaking off from Diamond, which means you're going to likely get a better discount through Penguin Random House than you will through Diamond, which means it's more incentive for comic retailers to establish their Penguin accounts to get the free shipping and get almost as good of a discount as they were getting before. Realistically, it comes out as a wash. You're getting about the same discount because of the free shipping. In fact, you're probably saving a little bit more, so it justifies it. But IDW being in there too, you'll get those shipped for free as well, and it'll expand their catalog of things that they offer. So this is very interesting that they're doing the exclusive multi-year agreement. So you're going to get a better deal through Penguin than you would through Diamond, and you don't have to pay shipping. So that's an interesting turn of events, and especially coming from IDW, because IDW does what? It licenses a bunch of Marvel characters for their Marvel action line, and the Star Wars books for that matter. So I think this is an interesting thing that might be an indicator of things to come. It wouldn't surprise me if IDW does well doing this. They end up taking over some of the Marvel titles from Marvel. And this might be an option because they were kind of looking in that direction anyway, that they were licensing characters and publishing them under them, but their financial status was pretty rocky. This is going to help bolster their financial stability, which they did report better sales this last quarter. So could be interesting to see how this plays out. I think this is a good sign for IDW and definitely a good one for retailers. This is the reason I have 3 produce wholesale suppliers. Yep, absolutely. You want to have the most broad base you can. That'll actually help stabilize the industry, because if Diamond collapses right now, it's going to cripple most of the comic shops, because that's where they get most of their books. Now, one of the comic shops I go to strictly orders their Marvel stuff through Penguin. They're able to also order mangas because Penguin produces a lot of books. And then you get access to paperbacks, you get mangas, and now you're going to get IDW stuff too. So you're going to get your trades cheaper. And a lot of the stuff that's not available through Diamond will be available through Penguin Random House, because Penguin distributes graphic novels and trades. And now they're going to do the floppy comics as well. Diamond was a mess, but I don't trust having everything in one company. Absolutely. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And that's why during the pandemic, when they shut down, it was a huge hit for retailers. And a lot of retailers suffered horribly. Some went out of business too. And it was because Diamond was like, nah. And we saw what happened with Action Lab, where they weren't paying people and not publishing the books. So that's interesting. But there's more IDW news. So if we go over to, what is this? The Beat. And I can actually share my screen. IDW has some comings and goings. Comic folks, you're not folksy, stop it. Continue to move around and get promoted. So here we learned DC Comics editor Maggie Howell joined as senior editor of original content at IDW. Megan Brown also joined the originals team, where she will focus on middle grade and young adult content, which, not a huge deal, but that's a good thing to bring in younger readers. The originals line is run by Mark Doyle, and as the name indicates, is focused on bringing more original material to IDW. Now, that's IDW's one real problem, is they have very few original IPs. They've got Winona Earp and Lock and Key, and that's about it. So they're trying to fix that with Mark Doyle and Megan Brown here. This is Maggie Howell. She used to work at DC. This is the announcement. It's the usual puff piece. Here's Megan Brown. And Mark Doyle not pictured. Why put a man's picture in there? Meanwhile, some other folks are moving around. At DC, Katie Kubert, we talked about this. She's getting promoted to senior editor. Stuart Scheck has joined Diamond Comics Distributors in the purchasing department. He used to be a sales manager at DC Comics. Joan Hilty, formerly the global comics editor at Nickelodeon, has joined Avatar Studios as executive editor. Still at Nickelodeon, but we're working on the much-loved franchise. So she joined Avatar Studios as an executive editor. I don't know. That's kind of a weird one. Over in France, Oliver somebody joined this place as senior editor. He was formerly at this other place I can't pronounce. And Jan Jones left Legendary Comics for New Vistas. No ideas where she went. So IDW is picking up some of the people from DC. Now, these are people that left DC. If you're jumping ship from DC to IDW, there's something going on at DC, because IDW is in really bad financial shape. They've been bleeding money for ages. And granted, their profits have been up the last couple of years for overall. So they're still losing money. They're just not losing as much money. And they posted a much better report this quarter than they did last time. Even though they're shutting down the board game thing, which I think is really weird and probably a bad move. But they picked up a DC editor with Maggie Howell here. She's been around for a long time. So IDW might be able to survive this coming apocalypse, and they might come out on top, because if they could end up with some of the Marvel licenses firmly intact and Marvel shuts down, that would be a big win. And if DC shuts down, IDW is still like in the top 5 for publishers right now, so that would just boost their numbers. More people would be carrying their books, but it'd be a dark day for sure for the comics industry if DC folds, which is looking more and more likely. Plus, in the marketing department of Penguin International unintentionally. Yeah, absolutely, Oki. You don't think the sales staff who get paid on margins isn't going to push this new line of products? Yep, absolutely. And they'll be like, look, you only got 35% off over at Diamond, where we'll give you 40 and free shipping. I wouldn't be surprised if Diamond doesn't damage any books. Yeah, they pack better. From what the retailers have been telling me, because I'm nosy, I ask questions. They've been saying great things about Penguin. They're saying they are able to get a hold of people where you can't at Diamond a lot of times, because they're short-staffed, especially with the pandemic going on. They're way short-staffed, but they've been able to get through to Penguin because they have people in call centers or a 24/7 website. They have all these ways of getting a hold of things, and they carry a lot of stuff that normally places like Diamond don't carry, like books and mangas. So there's actually better availability and better discounts, plus free shipping. And even if your discount, like the couple of the retailers have said that, like the Marvel discount's a little lower because they were getting like 50 to 60% off, and now it's down 2 or 3%. It's compensated for by the free shipping. So if you just buy a whole bunch of stuff, which is the real incentive here, is to buy more, because then you get the free shipping and it cuts down on that loss from the percentages. So yeah, it's an interesting play to bring IDW into Penguin like that. I think that's a pretty smart move for Penguin and for IDW. Not so much for Diamond. That could really hurt their bottom line. But it just might save IDW. Doesn't IDW have the Archie comics? No, Archie comics is its own thing. Yeah, I wasn't overly impressed with Lock and Key. I didn't hate it, but it just wasn't for me. Considering that Penguin is a $2 billion a year company with 5,000 employees, not surprising. They do a slightly better shipping job, right? Well, you should see how UPS handles those boxes. Like they're playing some sort of football game, either version of football. Yeah, they offer free shipping because they're a book company. They ship books all the time. They can afford to take that hit, and they're just dropping your discount a little bit. So the better customer service thing is a real big deal for comic shops too, because Diamond is notoriously hard to deal with a lot of times. When I was running my shop, I never had a problem with them. I thought they were great, actually. But a lot of people complain about them all the time. So you remember the other week how we were talking about the star of Marvel's Shang-Chi saying how China's a third world country and that's why Shang-Chi might not get shown in China? Well, another shoe dropped today. Today. Books don't ship well. They do if you pack them right. Unfortunately, most people don't. Yeah, FedEx sucks, man. Gotten better service from UPS than FedEx. They lost 3 separate ammo shipments. Wow, that's not surprising. It's hard to ship toast, but the FedEx guy in my area, I've complained about this on stream before. Maybe not this channel, but on other ones. The local FedEx guy drops boxes on my porch that go for people up the street. Just like, well, you live here now. And I have to call them all the time. It's happened at least 6 times. I want to say it's 10 now, but I'm not sitting here counting it because it'd be weird. But they just drop stuff off on my porch and then expect me to take it down the street. And the one time they dropped off 5 boxes, and I'm talking different shipments of different sizes too. The first time was 5 boxes of blinds that went to my neighbors. They're literally next door to me. And he couldn't be bothered because he wanted to make the turn near my house. And it would have been a little out of his way to go down there and then back up and turn around. Well, you're just lazy at that point. The other 5 or 6 times that I can recall was all stuff from people down the street. Like the one guy 4 or 5 doors down, he's got kids, and he like ordered a big wheel for him and some other stuff. And it just gets dropped off on my porch. And I've actually called them and told them, if you don't get this out here, I'm throwing it away. So they're just lazy. I have no respect for FedEx. Stuff I've gotten from them has been broken. And there have been times I don't get stuff. They just misplace things. So they're really bad about screening their drivers. I complained enough to FedEx. They sent a supervisor out to label my house with a spray painted address on the public street, literally on the road. Wow, nice. Yeah, my understanding is that FedEx drivers are independent contractors, and they kind of bid on the routes. So they try and undercut each other. So they end up like with subcontractors and stuff like that. And it gets very dicey about how they screen people. But yeah, I'd be super pissed if they lost a bunch of my stuff like that. That's why I try never, if I see a place ships with them and they don't ship anyone else, I won't order from them. All right, let's talk about Marvel stars Simu Liu and his sympathetic toward bad touch no-no stuff compares to being gay. Cosmic Book News dropped this bombshell. Marvel star Simu Liu is currently once again the subject of controversy as Reddit posts from 2015 have been unearthed where the Shang-Chi actor is revealed as being sympathetic toward no bad touchers and compares grown-up feelings directed toward children to being gay. Where have we heard this before? Back in 2015, Liu responded to a Reddit post about a program in Germany that encouraged no touchers to sign up for confidential treatment, where the actor chimed in as he did a significant amount of research. That sounds ominous. Maybe the FBI should look into that. For a role that saw him playing a no bad toucher, where he also apparently joked he didn't do method research, which means really acting or using something from one's own experience as a basis for the role. That's horrifying. Don't joke about that. That's gross. I mean, you can, but expect the FBI to knock on your door. Hey, I'm a Canadian actor, and I thought I'd chime in, posted Liu. I recently did a show where I played a no toucher and did a significant amount of research, clinical, not the method stuff. Yeah, well, you specifying that makes me think you did the method stuff on the disorder and how it's perceived in the media. In the end, the role completely changed the way I look at no touching. It has made me much more sympathetic to anyone who is born with those urges. Born with those urges. It's a sexuality now, gang. Liu continued by comparing no touchers to being gay and said it's a mutation. Okay, who's on the team today? Psylocke, Rogue, Wolverine, Chester the Bad Toucher, because I can't use the other word. Yeah. And it's not appropriate that this ad is right there and it's cut off when I read that, so you only see that face. That's not fair to that actor. From a biological standpoint, it's no different than being gay, a small mutation in a genome that defines our sexual preferences, said Liu. Depending on what area of the world you were born in and what time, it also may have been a perfectly acceptable thing to act on those urges. Now we all know that taking advantage of minors is wrong, disgusting and vile even, continued Liu. But with the exception of Germany, we are going about it completely the wrong way. It's like we haven't learned anything by studying homosexuality. Oh my God, gays in the audience, if you're pissed about this, you should be. Because if there's a backlash to stuff like this, that's gonna splash onto you, and not in a fun way. We're talking about exploring the same cures to no touching as we were about homosexuality 20 years ago, a la conversion therapy and whatnot. No, castration's fine with me. Conversion therapy doesn't work. It's hardwired into their brain, so don't bother. Just go straight to the snip or the chemical, whatever. Snip's probably better. Lou went on to defend no touchers in the post and again said no touching is not so different from being gay. Teal Deer, the actor, played a no toucher for a TV show, did research, discovered no touching not so different from being gay. God, why would you say this stuff? In regards to no touching being the same as gay, the topic has come up a number of times in the media. As back in 2020, the LGBTQ community completely rejected the notion, as well they should. There's a long-standing homophobic and transphobic tactic of inaccurately comparing LGBTQ people to no touchers and being LGBTQ to no touching, wrote Rich Ferrero, the chief communications officer at GLAAD, in an email to USA Today. It's debased and vile. It pains me to have to clarify that no, the LGBTQ community does not embrace no touching. Good for them. Nick Morrow, the interim communications director for the Human Rights Campaign, also told USA Today the LGBTQ movement absolutely rejects any suggestion that our community is linked to non-consensual interpersonal behaviors, including the horrific actions of perverts. Regarding once again being the subject of controversy, comments made by Liu about China are in part said to be the reason why Shang-Chi and Eternals won't get released in China. That does not surprise me. China doesn't like being insulted. The number 2 movie market in the world, Shang-Chi is currently one of Marvel's worst performing films with only $264 million. That's actually a lot more than I thought they would make, but they still haven't made their money back because the budget, I think, was $150 and their marketing was about the same. So they're still losing money. James Gunn, yeah, he was joking mostly. As far as we know, he was joking. But Disney, Marvel, and what's-his-face here have not commented. This is vile. Comparing that to gays, pretty disgusting stuff, but not unsurprising. And we've seen this defense before. We've been hearing more and more people defending this sort of behavior and trying to normalize it, especially in schools. It's gross. And what he said is disgusting, and he should be ashamed for it. And he'll come out with some half-assed, lawyer-written script apology, and it'll be swept under the rug because Hollywood doesn't mind perverts. Yeah, right? I know Gladys. We know Hollywood loves him. Yeah, he'll probably get more work. Catapult into the sun would be acceptable. Hey, Brad, how you doing? Yeah, they're still saying it was a success. I don't get that. Yeah, rubbing in the face of YouTubers who projected it would be a flop. They're trying to. It did outperform my expectations for it, but I still don't count that as a win. 284 is a really solid box office numbers, but it hasn't made its money back yet. So when it does, then it's probably going to be a success. And then it'll probably be when it comes out on the streaming services or on Blu-ray, when people start buying it that way. That's where most people are going to watch it. Hot lead injection or cold steel? Yeah, I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be opposed to that, Sith. Hey, Piccolo, how you doing? Yeah, that was all the articles I had for today. Was accused of training. Yeah. He was indirectly named in that lawsuit. He's probably going to get called as a witness, BG. So, I don't know. I'm still suspicious of James Gunn. I know he was an edgy joke guy, but joking about diddling kids is pretty suspect most of the time. So, the fact that he did it a lot is a little creepy to me. And then this guy trying to justify it, whenever a Hollywood person does it, it's extra suspect. Normal people, okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt if you're joking around and you always make edgy jokes or something. But when you're a Hollywood type doing that, sorry, I tend to believe Corey Haim and Corey Feldman about the undercurrent of debased perverts that live in Hollywood. Yeah, he seems to be associated with 2 people now accused of that, BG. Because remember, there was one guy that was associated with him that went to jail for it. It might have been suck ass and not success. I'm not sure. Some places even the edgelords won't go. Yeah, I mean, there's just some things that are gauche, I guess would be the only word I could come up with at this hour. Hey, Jordan. It's hard to trust those jokes, but when he's in an industry that has a lot of stuff like that going on. Exactly, Jordan. That's exactly what I'm saying. It'd be one thing if it's like your friend Bob that's like a construction worker. You'd be like, all right, Bob's being edgy. But when somebody works in an industry where it seems to be a rampant problem, like politics or Hollywood, tends to make me a leery of them. Like, you hang out near a candy van, don't you? And the rumors around Hollywood with the problems with kid diddlers, it's fucking disgusting. And it's been going on for a long, long time in Hollywood. All the way back to like Judy Garland era. So that doesn't surprise me. It's a BMW Z3 wrapped around a pole in Hollywood. Ouch. Was it the guy that played the Joker? Heath Ledger? Like a female teacher, right? Corey Feldman had named names, times, and places, and no one in Hollywood seemed to care. Yeah, it's almost like if I didn't know better, I'd suspect the cops were on the take. Nobody took him seriously at all. He spelled it out. No one gave a shit. Yeah, I'm all for letting Los Angeles carve itself off as its own little country, and we just surround it with fences and barbed wire and turn it into Escape from New York, Manhattan-style island, and leave it go on its own. How's it going, Cougar Knife? I was just about to wrap up. We went over a bunch of news articles. It was pretty awesome. And then the audience was being all awesome. And then we talked about a pervert. Or a suspected pervert, I should say, because I have no evidence he is a pervert. But I highly suspect he is now. Yeah, okay. I think he wrote a book on it, too, if I remember correctly. But yeah, he's named names before, and I'm sure he's got more names. But it wouldn't surprise me if he ended up dead somewhere, like Corey Haim. But Corey Haim was drugs. Still not ruling out that was a Epstein incident, you know? Yeah, sorry, Cougar Knife. We're cesspool the 90s Las Vegas. Yeah, I think it's when people get rich enough and they have positions of power, there's really nothing for them to find as edgy. You know, you can test boundaries when you're like, oh, I'm going to snort some cocaine or something. That's edgy for normal people. But when you're a multimillionaire, some asshole will bring that to you for free because they just want to hang around you. So you have to constantly be pushing those boundaries because a lot of these people are narcissistic, self-obsessed people with addiction issues. So they go for the next thing that's on the edge of being legal or illegal. And then eventually they end up running out of things that are high risk to them. They're risk takers. You know, like some people jump out of airplanes, some people do drugs, but then you got the people that can afford to do anything they want. And that's what it's really about, is testing boundaries, what they can get away with. It's also why I think Robert Blake killed his wife. He was found not guilty, though. Oh, thank you, Costin, for dropping the link. The high isn't enough anymore. They keep pushing more and more degenerate and debased places. Absolutely. You guys are a lot more succinct than I am today. Life of extremes. Exactly. So they do have to get weird with it. That's why they end up doing all sorts of goofy shit and they get busted. Look at what Shia LaBeouf ended up as. That poor guy's a total mess, and I blame Hollywood for that. He's probably a normal guy before, as a kid, but he's been in Hollywood for decades, and look how screwed up he is. The path to Slaanesh, absolutely, Uncle Ira. Human meat restaurants and diddlers. Yep. None of that stuff would surprise me. There's always something people will pay to do that is on the edge that will help them test those boundaries and get that next big thrill, that hit of dopamine. Yeah, at BC, that one surprised me too much. There seem to be a lot of questionable people floating around these days. A lot of degenerates. So just got to be alert and point people out to these things when they're found out. Like this article is pretty interesting. But 30 years ago, you wouldn't have heard about it because Reddit didn't exist. And this would all been kept quiet. But if it's out there, you got to tell people about it. Minor Regional Celebrity is a band that was pegged to go mainstream in the early 2000s, and even he needed extreme stuff for the amount of drugs, women, and such that was available. Yeah, there's hangers-ons and groupies really dull that thrill becomes dulled, and they have to get the next thrill. And so that's why they move up in drug classes and stuff like that. They go from smoking weed to something else because the thrill's not there anymore. It doesn't have the allure, the sexiness of it. And for some people, that's what gets them. The next thing you know, they're hooked on heroin and they banging 30 people at once, Oh, nice. All right, well, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you, everybody, for coming out and listening to me rant. I'm really tired, so I might go to bed here shortly. At least try and get a nap in. But as always, your donations and your time are greatly appreciated. Thank you so much to Oki and Baby Doll for the donations. That's very generous of you guys. You're awesome. And thank you, everybody, for coming out and hitting like and sharing and just showing up in general. It is greatly appreciated. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. And check out my other channels as well. All the links are in the description. And Costin was nice enough to drop the link for my review channel in there. And you guys all have a lovely evening and do something exciting so I can pretend I did it. Until next time,